Now, let's analyze a personal recount. We have been talking about like the organization of a personal recount. We've been talking about how to, start the intro, write the body paragraphs using all these topic sentences. We've talked about how to write conclusion as well. Now, today we would like you to take the perspective of a teacher, okay, and analyze a piece of personal recount and just take a look at like what are some of the features that it has, which you think are good, which are the ones that maybe you think might need improvement. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Yeah. So the topic is write about a time when a moment of distraction nearly led to a tragedy. Okay, so the introduction, how could I forget that day when a tragedy almost struck because of a momentary distraction on my part? If anything had happened to my sister, I do not think I would have been able to live with the guilt for the rest of my life. Okay, so what is the method that the writer has used to start the introductory paragraph? Okay, maybe you want to continue reading because there are 2 paragraphs to the intro. Usually that's not the case. But if you look at the continuation of the story, yes, Sabriel, are you clapping hands or are you raising hands?
It's the closest I can find to like raising a hand.
Okay, yeah.
Is it like suspense or something like that?
Yeah, it's creating a little bit of suspense, yes. Okay, a little bit of a cliffhanger to enable the readers to reflect and not really reflect, I would say, but to really guess or predict what's going to happen next. So yes, I think the second part is the one that is quite distinct in terms of the method that the writer uses. So it was a Sunday. I remember distinctly. The sun was a fiery ball in the sky. I spent most of the afternoon swimming in the sea, not too far out, for my mother had specifically told me to stay close to the beach. Every time I strayed even a meter away into the sea, her voice would float across to me. Okay, I think there's a typo error here. This is supposed to mean, okay? Stay close to the shore, right? So what method is it? I'm sure you've been taught this before in primary school. Okay, so you were saying that this one is somewhat like to create suspense, yes, to create suspense and interest, right? Because you want to hook your reader into reading it, right? You always want to start with a hook because you want to just engage your reader first. Yeah, so hook the reader into reading your.
Testing.
Yes, who is that? Varun.
Why is my on?
Okay. Now, in terms of the second paragraph here, it's actually a flashback, if you've noticed. Okay, and also the underlined red phrase here, okay, it's actually a sensory image. Because is the sun really a ball? No, right? It's a metaphor, isn't it? So they are creating a sensory image as though you can imagine a ball of fire in the sky. So this is considered a sensory image, which is underlined in red. Are we clear so far? Okay, so as a teacher, what do you think of this introduction? Anyone?
I do not know.
You do not know. As a teacher, you can't not know. Okay. Do you know your
Yeah,
marking scheme?
exactly.
Do you know your marking scheme for continuous writing? Maybe let me just
I wish I
pull it
knew,
out.
but I don't.
Yeah, let me
Okay,
just
one
show you.
minute.
O levels English exam. Oh, what's that? Okay, basically it's a total of 30 marks, right? And that they actually have a format to mark. If you do not fall between, okay, you have to make sure you meet all the points under the band. So if you want to achieve band 1, basically you have to make sure that all of the pointers there, you've achieved them. Otherwise, you will naturally fall under band 2, but you probably, it's going to be a high band 1, a high band 2, because maybe most of your points are in band 1. Okay, let me just see whether I can find it somewhere. Hold on. English. Yeah, this one I think. Wait. Okay, this is your syllabus document, right? It's the 2023. In fact, you are going to take the, because you're Sec 1 this year, you're going to take the new syllabus, 2023 syllabus, okay? So in terms of marking for, in this case, this is for situational writing. I'm going to move forward to continuous writing, okay? So in this case, for continuous writing, for content, you are only given 10 marks, right? So if you want to get like a band 5, okay, band 5 means the highest lah. So if it means that you have to make sure that all aspects of your task are fully addressed and developed in detail, right? And then of course, if you're in band 4, it means that all of them are addressed with some development. Okay, of course, we should not be aiming anything less than 4. Yeah. And then in terms of language, actually you are awarded 20 marks in total. But how should I put it? Actually, the structure of the entire essay falls under language as well. You might think that the structure falls under content, but actually the structure falls under language, because you're expected to use like things like connectors or conjunctions to join certain ideas together. So how your ideas flow actually falls under language, because language plays a part in terms of making your whole idea more coherent and more cohesive. Okay, so I know you're only Sec 1, you must be wondering, why must we know this now? Okay, it's actually really important because, like I said, in fact, I don't think they will change the syllabus anytime soon, given that this is the newer syllabus. Okay, and you're in Sec 1, usually they'll change it every 8 to 10 years. So not that soon. And you will be following this syllabus. So you will be marked according to this rubrics. Okay. So how do you achieve band 5 for your language? Like I say, you need to make sure that your entire ideas, all the presentation of ideas are coherent and cohesive using connectors and all across the whole of the response. Basically, language use is really important in terms of making it cohesive, because you're supposed to come up with like topic sentences and all this, right? So they will help you flow well, right? They'll help your ideas flow well. And you are supposed to be able to use ambitious vocabulary effectively, not just throw in any vivid verbs that you know of. Okay, you need to make sure that these ambitious vocabulary are used effectively. Okay, and then also, of course, in terms of grammar, in terms of punctuation, spelling, and all this, I think you should not be getting them too many mistakes for that. If you don't know how to spell the word, I would suggest change another word. Okay, by now you're in Sec 1. I don't think spelling error should be a problem for you. Yeah, in terms of like band 4, I think it's quite similar to band 5, except that, you know, it's just not completely perfect, but most of it should be sufficient. Okay, so this one is the marking rubrics. If you like to have a copy, actually you can just go to the MOE website. They have it there, because I think it's really important to know what you're marked on. Yeah, so 10 marks for content, 20 marks for language for your continuous writing. For SIT writing, it's the same as well. 10 for content, 20 for language. Okay, so that's that. Now going back to this one, okay, we're going to move on to the body paragraph. Okay, we're done with the intro. Okay, let's see how it flows, okay, in terms of organization, yeah? So the rising action here is my younger sister, who was 3 years old at the time, had to stay in the shade with mom and dad. It was a balmy day, and as I floated on the waters, the sun caressing my face, I seemed to be cushioned on a cloud of heavenly bliss. So again, this is a metaphor, right? Does it literally mean he is cushioned on a cloud? No, right? It basically is just trying to imply that he is probably very on cloud nine, basically very happy, okay, very comfortable, very peaceful, right? So in this case, that would be what we call the sensory image. It's actually creating an image in the reader's mind that, oh, the writer seems to be like on a cloud. Okay, and what does it imply? Yeah, so this one is also to create, the purpose of the metaphor is to create, oops, sorry, this one, to create a sensory image. Yeah, and then also this paragraph is actually trying to introduce to you the main character. So it's introduction of main character. Yeah, okay. So my peace was disrupted moments later when I think there's a missing word as well, typo error. When my mother came over and told me to get out of the water to look after my little sister Julie. And as she and dad were going to buy lunch at the fast food restaurant a distance away. At first, I refused to budge. Okay, so this paragraph tells you a lot of the details in terms of the action, right? So what's going on? A lot of action here. So probably you might just want to use a bit of action verbs as well. Yeah, told you, get out of, right? Look after, going to buy. I refused. So all these are action verbs. Okay. Now next, rising action. In this case, I suppose the dialogue, that you can see that there are actually many dialogues here, right? So plenty of dialogues. Plenty of dialogues. And I guess dialogues actually have an effective way of helping you to move the story along. And also, I think it also helps to make your characters feel alive. Right? Because then we are actually like, imagining them having a conversation. So it makes them feel alive. Yeah. So why don't you take Julie along? I asked grudgingly, annoyed that I could not continue to soak in the warm water. Well, she wants to stay and build her sandcastles, Mom replied. As Mom turned to walk away, she said, make sure you keep an always eye on her. Don't go near the water. Mom, this isn't the first time I've looked after her. I snapped. Okay, I snapped. I think it's a very strong word. Okay, it definitely evokes some form of emotions. Okay, but at the same time, it's also considered a sensory image. Does it literally mean she snapped at her mother? No, right? It basically just trying to imply that she was really quite annoyed. Yeah. Any questions so far? No? All right, let's move on. Okay, so the rising action is here, right? I deposited myself on a picnic mat, took a book from my bag and began reading, glancing every now and then at Julie, who was happily scooping sand into a pail and stacking one mound of sand on top of another. Minutes later, a group of skaters caught my attention. They were doing stunts at the skate park nearby. Shouts of bravo and applause rose as the skaters did their tricks on skateboards, sporting loud designs of myriad colors matching their emblazoned outfits. Fascinated, I put my book down and walked into the gathering crowd